The Communications Minister Stephen Conroy is in our Parliament House studios. Minister, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Fran. Good to be talking with you.
What is the actual deadline for action on these new rules? When will live odds be gone from our TV screens?
Well, we've been going through a consultation process, a public consultation process on the code proposed by Free TV. That's now completed. What the Prime Minister announced yesterday was that we expected to see within the next few weeks the amendments which we're proposing to that code be registered with the ACMA in the next couple of weeks and then be enforced from that period. So I expect to see action taken on this in the next couple of weeks.
Why don't you just tell the free-to-air networks to stop it as of this Friday night's footy game?
Well, as I said, we've got to get it registered with the ACMA. The ACMA are in charge of policing this, and we want to see it registered and being policed, and it's 1 to 2 weeks, so we want to see it introduced very, very quickly.
Well, it's not happening very, very quickly, though. I mean, the point is, 2 years ago today, you said, and I'm quoting here, there's an insidious culture developing that's targeting the young as they are watching sporting events, the sort of advertising which is being pushed into people's faces when you have ground announcers announcing odds. And then you said that the industry will be given 12 months to reduce the promotion of live betting, which will ultimately be banned by June 2012. So nothing's happening quickly here.
Well, some of the things that you quoted me as mentioning there were stopped. The ground announcers, the commentators, that was actually stopped. A voluntary code was introduced from the 1st of January, and that's the code that's been under consultation. I think it's fair that there is a process of consultation. The government has been very committed to that process, and we've seen that now just been completed. There's been a lot of public debate. This is a tribute to the process. The process said, tell us what you think, public, here's the code. And the public have absolutely had the say, and the government has now responded to that. And we've said that it doesn't go far enough. We want to see all live bet promotions, in other words, the odds on matches, banned from the moment they're on the field to the moment they come off. We've also said the banner ads that you see on television, scrolling across during play, gone. We've said we want to see a complete separation between spruikers and the ground. So we don't want people down on the ground next to the field. We don't want people in the stands, in the studio. We don't want people around the grounds. We want them completely removed from the ground. That's done. And what we said finally is that gambling ads that were increasingly becoming part of, if a try was scored or a goal was kicked, you would flash to a gambling ad. That's gone as well. You can only do the gambling ads, the generic gambling ads, in the halftime break, those scheduled breaks.
So can I just get that clear? So what you call a generic gambling ad that will be allowed in those scheduled breaks, as you say, does that can include a bookie spruiking during half-time or quarter-time?
No, they can't spruik live odds at all under any circumstances.
But they can do a live cross?
They can do a promotion of their business, but they cannot do live odds. It's from the moment they're on the ground to the moment they leave the ground, no live odds.
But can they do a live presentation spruiking gambling?
Not from the ground. It has to be completely separated and out from the ground. So those are the concerns that overwhelmingly were coming through from parents and families. I mean, you had the circumstance where kids were watching TV saying, what are the odds? Who's going to score the next goal? What is the live odds on the next match? All that sort of commentary was starting to become common with our kids. And that's where I say that parents were getting sick of having this sort of promotion rammed down their throat. Now, I think once you see those changes introduced in the next couple of weeks, you'll see a massive difference between the way that the issue is dealt with on TV to the way it's currently being dealt with. You will be able to see a very, very significant difference.
There's plenty of people saying you haven't gone far enough, that all gambling ads should be banned. Let's have a listen to Tim Costello speaking to us earlier.
The reason millions of dollars are paid to the codes and to the TV companies by sports betting is because advertising works. They not just get more business, but sadly, because of the nature of this business, depend more on addiction. And that has a whole ripple effect in the community, not to mention the shifting of a culture that really has been the movement behind this, of parents saying, I can't stand my kids knowing more about gambling than about their heroes playing on the sporting field. So when you actually understand the power of this, I don't see why gambling should be allowed on jumpers, why it should be promoting what are heroes for kids.
Why don't you just ban gambling ads in sporting broadcasts and in all times when kids are watching TV?
Well, as I said, we've banned live odds for the entire time that it...
No, but I'm talking about gambling ads, not live odds.
Well, we've got to get the balance right between those that argue that there should be none and those that have to get a business model to buy live sporting rights. So we've got to get a balance between those two.
It's never hard to sell ads for anything in a popular sporting broadcast, would it be?
You'd actually be surprised. The TV industry and the radio industry would say to you for the last 3 and 4 years their advertising has been significantly reduced. You've got on-air, online competition now significantly. So it is becoming harder and harder in this sector, and the rights are going up and up in terms of costs. No one's bought a set of rights for less than they bought them last time. So we've got to find the right balance to ensure that we still get this sport on free-to-air television.
But you know, Minister, they said that when they talked about tobacco ads and banning tobacco ads, and we have research now that shows that live odds are just a small portion of all gambling ads, and that adolescent kids have a high recall of gambling advertisements.
Well, that's not what parents are expressing over the last 3 or 4 months of the NRL. What they're hearing is their kids talking about live odds. They're seeing live odds being pushed down people's throats, as well as the gambling in general. So if you were to watch an NRL match, if you were to watch an AFL match, and it was more prevalent with the NRL, you would have seen a very, very different than what you've just described, Fran. Live odds were being pushed down people's throats all the time. Now, we've removed that completely. It's only in half-time, only in quarter-time or three-quarter time if you're watching the AFL, that you can now see any form of advertising, and that confined to the periods when all of the ads run.
What about the live ads on the scoreboard at the grounds? For a start, there's a lot of kids there seeing that, but also the scoreboard, of course, shows up on TV. Can you stop that?
I would encourage Barry O'Farrell to stop talking about this and do something about this. I mean, these grounds like that are actually the purview of the state governments. In the same way I've written to Barry O'Farrell and asking him to support pre-commitment and credit limits on online gambling. So we've been going through a process. We've written to Barry O'Farrell. So Barry O'Farrell can do a lot more than just talk. Barry O'Farrell should actually stop politicking and start doing something about it rather than calling for other jurisdictions to do things. We've just made a massive, massive change to the code that was being proposed. Barry O'Farrell didn't stand up like Jay Weatherall and say there was a problem until after all the politics started. But Tony Abbott was on TV at a press conference a couple of weeks ago where he said he supported the code as being put forward by the free TVs. He supported that code. We've said we don't support that code, and we've moved the goalposts significantly to remove completely live odds spruiking and significantly confining gambling advertising. So Tony Abbott said tick. The Gillard government said no. We want change.
13 minutes to 8. Our guest this morning is the Federal Communications Minister, Stephen Conroy. So just to be clear, so everyone listening is clear, in 2 weeks' time, they can watch the TV footy game on TV. There'll be no live gambling, no live odds promoted at all during the game. There will still be some gambling advertisements in the quarter time or half-time breaks. There will still be gambling ads along the boundary fence. There still will be logos on... No, I'm just trying to get this clear, though.
For us to deal with.
I'm just asking you, though, there still will be logos on the player's jumper. The Penrith Panthers will still be playing at Centrebet Stadium. Do you agree all this can undermine the impact of your ban?
Well, I think those are issues that the Commonwealth has no jurisdiction over. I mean, these are issues, I could say to you, the MCG, Melbourne Cricket Ground, they were so concerned about the spruiking of live odds, ground announcers, that they actually have taken away that contract and have phasing out their live odds being promoted on scoreboards type things. So the MCG took action on that with the encouragement of a whole range of people. And Barry O'Farrell should be having a good talk to the Sydney Cricket Ground Trust and to all of those other football stadiums that are in New South Wales, and the same applies to Campbell Newman in Queensland, and they can do something about that. So instead of trying to play cheap politics and saying we haven't gone far enough, why don't you get up and do something about it at your end, Barry?
Stephen Conroy, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks very much, Fran.
Stephen Conroy is the Minister for Broadband, Communications and the Digital Economy and Leader of the Government in the Senate. It's 12 minutes to 8. RN.